And welcome back. We have with us on set His Worship, the Mayor of Belize, Mr. Bernard Wagner. We have as well Counselor of Traffic, Community Participation, Public Relations, and Special Events, a frequent visitor to our set, Alan Pollard. And we also have gracing us the wonderful Jacqueline Rowe, who is the Managing Director of Hofius. Morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning. Morning, Kevin. Morning, Marlene. Morning again. And viewers, it's a pleasure to be here.
So before we dive into some of the activities that are upcoming, let's just get a time to put into perspective what is now going to be 8 months at the head of the Belize City Council, and just the work you've been doing, the challenges you've encountered.
Okay. Again, the key area here, Marlene, has been the financial aspect of the council, right? Without a robust financial system in place, it's very difficult to get anything done. So that has been one of our greater challenges. We came in where like 60% of the revenue had already been spent. We were destined to fail. Most people had put us down that we'll fail in June. But we have been able to right the ship in terms of putting in place the financial prudence, the fiscal policies to ensure that we have been able to meet all our payrolls. We have never one time missed a payroll for our staff. We have been able to meet other obligations, or operational obligations, without that one day getting 1 cent from GOB. So we feel that that alone has put us in the right place. Normally in this time of the year, the previous council would have been engaging in the 20% discount program. We felt that program hurt the council long term, because what it does is that you are borrowing from the public at 20%. So we deliberately stayed away from that program, and we have passed the hardest part of the year. We are now entering the new fiscal year, where you begin to send out tax roll, you begin to sell out trade license roll. And so we feel that we have weathered the storm, so to speak, and are on the right track to being a financially viable institution.
What's been the buy-in from the private sector? We know the discounts were a part of getting people to be compliant with paying what they needed to pay.
Yeah, but that program, while it went against the grain of solidarity, because at the end of the day, the 20% program, notwithstanding the 20% for the senior citizens, we can't touch that. That's gazetted and that's law. But the fact is that the 20% program only would benefit probably the wealthy people who can afford it. But the small man can't afford that to come in early and pay then. It's only the larger companies, the larger people out there. So we felt, let us stay the course. Access financing through the financial institution. So we borrowed at 7% rather than borrowed from the public at 20%. So what you're doing there is a huge difference you're earning right there in respect of 13%. You're saving, and that money can be put to better use. And so we feel now that the council, when we begin to collect, come January, we'll be collecting our 100% rather than 80 cents on every dollar.
Now there's a duality that's required as the leader of this municipality, and as you've clearly spoken about, which means you have to get the house in order with the finances, and that's where we've heard your focus from you first came into office. But at the same time, you have to entertain. You have to ensure that the needs of the residents in the city are being met while you continue with your cleaning house.
Precisely.
How do you feel you've been able to balance in that area?
It's been a balancing act, but the fact is that we have a good group of councillors in place, particularly our councillor for works, Albert Vaughan. He has not missed a beat. We have been able to rehabilitate many streets across the city. We have been able to keep the city clean. right? We're still working on the abandoned lots in respect to enforcement of those lots that are abandoned. We continue to ensure that we put in place the structures that ensures that we look after the assets of the city council and the assets of the residents, right? We were able to come in and locate these bobcats, these machinery that were lost for so long. And so that alone, again, signal to the public that we are serious about business. And as we now enter the new fiscal year, Marlene, now you will begin to see the work of this council, because we are controllers of our own destiny. So we'll be able to really put in place some programs. If you would take a walk around the ring road, actually, we have rehabilitated a street that was once a pothole.
Belize has a ring road?
Yes. You don't know
I
that there's a ring road? No, there is a ring road in the Lake Eye division. That street completely rehabilitated. That was once a major discomfort for many of the residents in that city, in that area there. So we have been able to rehabilitate that street with chip and seal completely. We have even identified a park that would be the new Southside Park. And so we have the rendering project in place. And so now we are just getting a sponsor to deal with that park for us. But we know, I'm telling you that this coming fiscal year, now you'll be able to see and really assess the work of this council.
Mayor, I have a friend who always told me that politics is the art of wastage. That's just what it is. It comes with a certain amount of waste.
Yeah.
But just thinking back of the way that you looked at the 20% discount is a very efficient way to look at it. Because as a common person, I just think I get 20% discount.
Yeah.
And so the savings come to me as opposed to
the city.
Coming to the city. How do you balance between looking at the financial management of the council from the standpoint of efficiency as opposed to appeasing public tradition of getting direct value or direct ease?
It's about being consistent, Kevin, right? You have to be consistent in your decision making, and you can't at no point favor one over the other. And I have been consistent, and our council have been consistent that we need to put this council in the right financial trajectory. We feel that we have done that. So we feel that we now are able to catapult into some greater things for the residents of the city.
And just a follow-up to that question, something that has been on my mind watching what's unfolding at the council. Because you're right, a lot of people were very doubtful of the success at the election, much less to be successful after the election.
Exactly.
Whether or not the council is successful or not is a matter for debate, but surely you guys have been working. I've seen that. When you look at yourself as a mayor, one of the things that we're going to talk about this morning is a project which had its, I believe, its beginnings in the previous council, in terms of getting activity on Albert Street. This is an extension of that.
Right.
But yourself as mayor, you've had, in looking at not being probably the expected mayor in terms of when we look at, we've seen in the newspaper where you've taken some hits from your own friendly fire, from your own party, and we've seen you at least on 2 occasions, one with the Deputy Prime Minister, dealing with certain things, and one with the Prime Minister. I just saw a photo up with you there. Are you trying to bring a different view? Because for Party Faithful, they're looking at it and saying, doing this money, man.
Yeah, but
how do you balance between continuing a tradition of being a mayor? Because Darrell Bradley was somebody who did stand against his own party, who did, when it was the right time, speak on certain things. Are you continuing on that, or is this just your personality extending to your office?
I would think it's both. My personality is about bringing people to the table. It's about listening to different views. I'm a great listener, actually. I would sit in many meetings and just listen to people. People would come to my office, we speak, we would listen. The key thing here is that Following politics over the years as in the private sector, one of the things that has always turned me off from politics is the fact that opposing views, people with opposing views could never find, they felt that they were too big to come together for the better good of the people. I'm not for that type of politics. I will get hit from my party many times because I'm a moderate politician. I'm not hardcore, I am middle. And it's always about striking the right balance to ensure that when I get in a room with someone with an opposing view, that we work out what I would say deals, we will work out plans for the city, plans for your residents, to ensure that we always focus on the good of the residents of the city, on the good of the city of Belize, irrespective of your political affiliation. And I feel that is a brand of politics the Belizean people want. Right? That's the brand of politics that will move this country forward, that will move this city forward. And if we continue in the same rut, our city will fail. And that is my style, that is my brand. I will never change. I still serve the party, the People's United Party that I run. And I feel that it's a great party. It has great foundation, it has a great leadership. But I will always be my own thinker, and I'll always be my own man, and I'll always have the people at the forefront.
Moving from your motivation to looking at the tangibles, how have you been able to make a bipartisan relationship with central government? I mean, they have vested interest. That's clear with the constituents that they have in the city. But it's also, some can argue it's in their interest to see you fail as well. Talk to us about how you've been able to have tangible efforts come out of your bipartisan approach.
Relationships again, and the relationship spans beyond politics and beyond my ascension to the mayor of Belize City. I've always maintained good relationships with both sides, and I feel that I will not come in a room because I run on this ticket and I will hate you. Understand? That's not me. I will continue to be respectful of you. Despite different views, I will continue to respect you. You will respect me likewise. I see myself level-headed. I don't see me be above you or you be below me. And I was able to meet with the Deputy Prime Minister, Patrick Farber, on one occasion, where we felt that the good of the event supersede our political affiliation, and we sat in a room and we worked it out. I'm not too big to at some point in time say, listen, make we get this thing here done. Similarly, I met with the Prime Minister this past week. It's something that should have been done long ago, but he was pretty in and out of the country, his medical condition. I was pretty busy taking up with a lot of interviews, right? But at the end of the day, we as leaders of the city, as leaders of the country, felt that it was important to meet. And I felt following my visit to the Crewman Lagoon area last week, Thursday, that it was the right time for me to meet with the PM, because we needed to sit, to find out how can we work together for these people that live in those conditions. They are my responsibility as a mayor, even though it's not my legal mandate to deal with housing, right? It's not my legal mandate, but when I walk in those areas, on those London bridges, miles and miles of London bridges, you can't help yourself but care for those people and want to see a better condition for those people. And so with the group visiting from Canada, they are on board, but we need land. We can't rehabilitate Crewman Lagoon. Crewman Lagoon is a natural habitat. It's a water catchment. So the only thing we can do there is do a survey of the people who live there, family members, numbers, get some numbers, and see how we could find land so that we could build the homes. So that was the level of discussion with the PM, and he told me, Mayor, he told me, and I'll tell you, this is the first time I'm saying it, he said, Mayor, you're a refreshing person. And because of that, he said, land in the city is very tight. He says the only area that he sees where land could be found is probably in Hattieville, and I'm telling him, but PM, and people don't move. And people don't move to that area there, and people want to be in an area where the city, they can feel the city, and they are in close proximity to schools, shopping areas, and that sort of thing. And so we are still grappling with that. We are looking at other avenues, but housing for the poor is important, right? And I feel that I want that to be a part of my legacy.
Just to be clear, you have external funding for this project?
Yeah, it would be this group out of London, Humanity First.
Okay.
They're a global group that does housing for the poor all across the world. Right? It's a global group. They would provide the funding. They would provide the materials, just that the individuals or the recipients of the home would participate in the construction of the home. So it's a win-win where you participate in the construction of your home, so you take out that cost of labor. It's a program that has worked, and it can work in Belize City.
You spoke about what your legal mandate is, and what your legal mandate is streets and drains. That's the song. I have a two-part question. The first is it that the street and drains, you have it completely under control, that you're venturing off into housing? Because you have a tough shoes to fill, a cement shoes to fill. Because the previous mayor did, in fact, cement quite, and the previous council did cement quite a significant number of streets. So, so my first question is it that we have the issue of street drains, and I put garbage there, completely under control, that we're venturing off into something else? The second thing is, how do you, it's only 8 months, but the tenure of a town council or city council is a sprint. It's not like the 5 years.
Right.
And so 8 months is not a long time to get on your feet, but looking at where you are now, how do you intend to move the council past where we are in terms of streets, drains, and giving the council, like, for example, a simple thing like incentives to homeowners? How are you going to bridge that gap? And I say that because, yes, we are taking away with one hand in terms of the discount of 20%, but there must be a way that you want to incentivize the citizens to be a part of the city so that they can have control and somehow contribute to what taxes they pay and how beautiful the city is.
Yeah, no, you can't forget streets and drains. That are a legal mandate, and that's why we have identified so far 11 streets, and that are currently being rehabilitated with the chip and seal. I knew the past mayor did a lot of cement streets, more in the downtown front, the front streets I call them. We are focusing more on the back streets, because people also live in those back street areas, and that's why we're focusing a lot in the Port Loyola area, in the Collett area, in the Lakei area, in the Picksock area. But we have streets on our agenda, probably not the cement streets, because cement streets, I believe the cement is good for the main arteries of the city, but the chip and seal is quality enough for those areas that we have identified. So we do have streets on the agenda, and we do intend to complete many of those back streets that are a pain for many of the residents that live in those areas. In terms of living up to our expectation, I feel optimistic, actually, that our council has done the work. We have done the framework. We are currently very close now, actually I should say, to closing a municipal paper, which will once and for all streamline our cash flow or give us our cash flow support so that in those slow seasons we do not have that type challenge to face going forward. So what we'll be doing, we'll be floating approximately 5.6 million in municipal short-term paper. It's an IOU.
Another bond?
Yeah. It's a short-term, like 3 months, 6 months. But we have over 300 million again in the banking. So a lot of institutional investors have a lot of funds that are sitting in the banks earning 0.5%. This municipal paper would be in the area of 3.4%, 3%, and you spin it, right? It matures, the investor gets the return on it, and you spin it again. So what that does, it eliminate the high season, low season flux that we have always been in.
You want stability?
Yes, we want stability. We want to ensure that our cash flow, because it's cash that drives your city council and make you be able to carry out projects. If you don't have the cash flow, then you run into problems. So aside from the bulk of our money that we'll be receiving during the course of the first 3 months of the year, we'll have the bond as well. So we see ourselves in the right place. And the city will be able to see the results of those floating of those bonds.
Now, it really is a back to business kind of basics. And I'm shifting it around deliberately because one of the things that we know, Belize City is the commercial center. And we've had many struggles. And this is where we know this project is leading to. You're talking about Albert Street being the life of the city. Once upon a time, it had a much better pulse than it did now, than it does now. How are you, this particular downtown sale that you're having over the weekend, an event, where did it come from? What is the buy-in? And how do you think you'll be successful in giving that life back to the area?
Yeah, again, this was a manifesto promise. I was in the San Francisco area and I visited this what they call a last Friday event. And I saw the energy of all the business participating and the security is there and the people, the small business owner is on the street selling this, selling that. And I said, why this can't work for Belize City? And I know that many, the past council had tried to rejuvenate downtown Belize City. Yeah. We do have an obligation at City Hall to ensure that our businesses are successful. Yeah. That is important because when businesses fail, we lose jobs. And that is where the residents of this city are clamoring for. Every day I meet somebody who say, Mayor, I need a job. So we, as partners with the business community, not only in the downtown area, but in the entire city, but particularly downtown, we felt that we could not sit by and have our businesses in that area continue to lose money, continue to fail. Chetomal, you saw the recent coming out of Chetomal, they are reducing sales tax from 16 to 8%. The two southern and northern zone will be free zones. You could imagine the impact that will have on our businesses in this city. Our businesses will fail. We lose jobs, crime will go up. So when I met with my good friend, Ms. Jacqueline, who and a group at them last week, Friday, I tell them you have two options. We can run with this offer here that we are doing. Yeah. We can sit back and have the exodus of Belizeans continue to go across Chetomal. We have to fight back. The businesses in our city has to fight back, and I am assuring that the businesses in our city, that the City Hall and the Belize City Council is with them shoulder to shoulder in this fight.
I want to get Jackie into the conversation to share your perspective. Hofius is a staple in the downtown area. We've known it for, as long as we can remember. And what that means is that you have a frontline view as to the transformation of downtown, from the infrastructure changes, but also from it being the Friday night walkabout to challenges with the economic hardships in the country, challenges with security, and now an invested energy once again in trying to get it back. Talk to me about your perspective as a business owner in that area, and just how you have been able to survive over time.
Well, I think 2 points that came out very clearly, both in what the mayor has said and what you just said, is that really is about the people of the city and keeping the life, the life of the city alive, keeping the excitement or re-energizing the excitement of the city. There are challenges. I mean, a lot of challenges. Chetumal is one. There's others as well. But the excitement that has been put together recently with this new initiative is, as you say, bringing more excitement down to downtown. Downtown is the commercial capital. As a business owner, of course, I want to see it thrive. Of course, I want to be part of it. Yeah. But it's not just me. It's a business community of Albert Street. And one of the things that has been really exciting about this initiative is the way the entire business community has come together. And we're working as a group. We're excited as a group. We get together in a forum and we share ideas. It's never going to be one man that rules the show. It's got to be a group of people. And we are a vibrant group of business people that want to engage in this, that are excited about this, that are going to do our best to get to give the public what they deserve. The Belize City shoppers, they want to come out, they want to hear some music, they want to bring their children with them, they want to feel safe. They want to go shopping. They want discounts, and they want discounts, and that's where our challenge is. Like, okay, so how do we make this exciting? Giveaways. We've got to do giveaways. Yeah. We've got to discount our products, and I'm not talking about stuff that is deteriorated or
can't get off the shelves.
No. We are discounting brand new products that have just unloaded off the containers last week. This has got to be good, and it's a two-way thing. We're giving to the community, and likewise they are strengthening our businesses, which we all need. We all benefit from, and so it's exciting.
Can I ask a question? Because it's clear that, and we've had many conversations about the challenges of getting Albert Street, it may be nostalgic, but back to what it used to be. Is it that you find that people are not having the same buying power that they used to? Is it security concerns? What seems to be the paramount challenge that businesses, specifically in the downtown zone, are facing?
I think there are various issues. The crime has come up, but in the last 2 months, there has been a huge initiative from the police department to put in a huge amount of controls to downtown, and I really believe they're doing a good job. And so I think the confidence of the consumers has come back. I don't see the worry about the crime in the downtown area. At the moment, I think maybe what has changed is the nighttime. Daytime is still bustling. Yeah. If you walk on Albert Street any given day between, let's say, 9 in the morning and 5, before it gets dark, downtown is still bustling. There's a lot of activity, there's a lot of commerce. But nighttime, I don't go. I'm not downtown at nighttime, but I do know that there's really not much going on. The shops are closing earlier, and I think perhaps what you're talking about, the nostalgia of Albert Street, might be the nighttime. And that,
which is the more convenient shopping hours.
It's more convenient for people from Of course, moving into the Christmas, it does become more lively, and in the evenings and at nighttime for sure. But outside of that period, it is pretty dead after 6 o'clock in the evening.
I'd like to follow up on Marlene's prodding. And I'm happy to have you on this morning because you do bring a fresh new angle. And I think that the success of Hofius is in fact a testament to just being able to provide quality. Because when I want certain quality stuff, it's to you guys I go. But there's 3 new things in terms of the new Belize, which I want to put to you to ask you whether or not those things are adding into the slowdown of commerce. Because even though there might be a lot of foot traffic on Albert Street, there might not be a lot of business on Albert Street. One is that there's this thought that the center of Belize is shifting away from downtown. So what is most nostalgic is the location of Belize City. When Belize City was just on the nipple around the foreshore area, then Albert Street was surely the middle of what business was. Now we're seeing a shift away to some of the bigger stores and some of the bigger business places in Coney Drive area. That's one. 2, the issue of what is being sold on Albert Street. There was a lot of repetition in terms of textile. The banks were there, but there was a lot of textile, a lot of repetition of textile. And then finally, just the way that people do business. I mean, a lot of people are not going downtown to the banks anymore, doing online banking. So how do you factor in all of those things in terms of how to deal with downtown? Are we holding on to a shift in culture, both in buying culture and in geographical culture, that probably won't last very long? Is that a stretch?
Yeah. I would.
Interesting to hear.
Well, you have fed right into what our challenges are, and of course there are challenges. But I think if you studied any city in the world, as the population grows, cities very often do start in a downtown, very similar to what we have. And then as the population grows, of course, commerce spreads, and then the challenge becomes of the downtown people. How do we compete? How do we evolve?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the best word.
Yeah.
How do we? What's changing?
Yeah.
What are young people doing?